Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker is ready. He is a seasoned climate change and food system communication consultant, renowned for his roles as a researcher, writer, and columnist. With over 10 years of experience in the legislative and policy environment, he has a profound passion for food system transformation, climate change, and diplomacy. He is unwaveringly committed to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly climate action, zero hunger, and ending poverty by 2030. Please welcome Shadrack Agaki. Makofi yake tafadhali, 40 minutes. We'll have a timer here. Once you're ready, just let me know, then the time will start rolling. And once you hear, of course, our sound, you will know when to wind up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Johnson. Honorable delegates, good morning. Let me step away from there. Yeah, so a little bit of myself beyond what has been explained. Before 2002, the man who gave birth to me was an evangelist. I was telling someone during the break time that he went to a Bible school just across here, and for sure I don't even know whether he cleared from there, but he evangelized all his life that I saw him for 13 years. But for me, I said, when I grow up, I'm not going to preach the gospel, but I will be trying to help people understand issues that are important to life. And that itself is also preaching of the gospel. So I've been given a task to be the first speaker to set the pace for this symposium. And because I'm a son of a pastor, allow me to tell you that what I expect from my presentation today is to help all of us in a climate change scenario to be transformed by renewing our minds of what is climate change and how it impacts us. Because of my passion in the food system and climate change space, I've done a lot of research for the last 10 years. And for all those 10 years, I've been working with members of parliament, so I understand a lot about policy engagement and public participation. So please, Johnson, put up my presentation on the screen. Second slide. Second. That one. Next. I've already explained that one. No. I want to see the topic. So, why is climate change important? You know, when I was asked to speak about climate change resilience, adaptation, and mitigation, I started asking myself, what is it that I'm going to say? But when I reflected, as a son of an evangelist, I knew there is something that I was going to do. So, what I'm going to do, the next slide. Yeah, so for the next 40 minutes, I'll try and contextualize climate change in the sugar sector. Then I'll try and share some pathways to building climate resilience in the sugar sector, and to a large extent, food system transformation. Finally, I'll give a few recommendations, but I will also expect that you also share your views. But I plead with you And the reason why I'm really grateful that I'm the first person to speak in this event is for us to get out of this place thinking differently and seeing our role in addressing climate change to build resilience and sustainability. So let's go to the first slide. And you'll allow me to move because I want this to be as interactive as it could, because that is what Johnson started off with. So I think I'll proceed with that model. So the next slide. Okay, sorry. So now, can someone get the mic roving? I want to ask a question. I realize that we are different. And we are from various organizations. So I just wanted to get a feel. So when I was thinking of contextualizing climate change, because I'm a social scientist, I thought I would have that picture. And in communication, when I was doing my undergraduate, they said a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I want somebody from the back to just say what they think the elephant has to do with the symposium today, from your own perspective. Everybody who came here said of what they expected, but I also thought that it's important that we share. When you see an elephant, when you see this picture that I've shared on my screen, what do you think? I'm not moving from there. I will expect someone to say something. Do I need to pick someone? When I was coming, I was flying from Nairobi, I was with someone called Solomon. He's a speaker. Can you pass that mic to him and let him say something about this picture? Oh, someone else.
Thank you. I think because of the climate change, there is no rain in the habitat. The elephant is looking for water for quite some distance. Thank you.
Thank you. Solomon is here. Johnson, Solomon is here.
Thank you, Shadrack. The Solomon. It's an interesting picture. You can see the elephant. You can see the elephant is looking a little bit not very great, but also can see this, the area where it is in. It's quite bright. Of interest to me is a background. You can see the blue hills, maybe some rains in the horizon, or it's just like white. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who will want to try? Some hands are coming up. Great.
Well, thank you. I'm Francis Osore from Sugar Research. Now, I'm looking at that elephant, and as what I know, the elephant is supposed to be in a place where there is some forests, some vegetation, but there it is in an area that is very unfamiliar. And just as sugar industry, we are here basically because you'll find that the sugar industry is in turmoil, and we need a solution to our problems. We need to be where we are. We are not where we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Some 3 hands, then I.
Okay.
I proceed.
I'm Hasso Joala, farmer representative Nyakoko. So when you look at the elephant, one of the major features you see are the ears. The ears are wide open. That one ecologically tells you that that area is overheated. So the elephant is trying to adapt to the ecosystem. So due to change in climate, you see the ears to increase too much heat intensity, and the nose down so as to adapt to the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Two more people. Listen, someone close to this camera. Yeah, here.
Yes, thank you. My name is Charles Atiam, the chairman of Kenya Association and Sugarcane and Allied Products. Looking at the elephant, from the picture, it seems the elephant is hungry. The elephant is in an environment that is unusual. From the local, I can relate it to where we are in the sugar sector today, where we have no policies, we have no regulation, we have no sugar cane. So we are in a wandering situation like that elephant. Thank you.
Yes,
One more person?
yes.
Okay.
My name is Regan Odhiambo. Okay, from what we can see in the picture, on the background of this picture, you can see it is a background which is a bit a dry area. And we know from what we see, or what we know from the elephants, is that elephants, from their body size, they take a lot of food, or the feed stuff. And in the environment, we are seeing totally there is nothing that the elephant can eat. And therefore, it is in order, or there is need for the climate change, so that at least the environment, which comprises for both animals and even the human beings, the animals can also get something to survive on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all of you. Now, all of you who have given something, you're right, because that is how you see it. But there's a poem that was written by someone called John Godfrey Saxe, and this poem was about 6 people who were visually impaired. Sorry, I'm still there. So the people were visually impaired, and then they were told, go touch a structure or a figure that has been placed somewhere, and that structure happened to be the elephant. It's a good song I like, that all of us before God were kadigiriri, something so small. So we are so small that when they were placed before the elephant, they were asked to describe what the elephant is. And this morning, what you've done is the same thing that the visually impaired people did. And what happened? One of them touched the legs. And when he was asked, what does the elephant look like? He said, for sure, the elephant is like a big tree. The stomach of elephant. And when he was asked, so what does the elephant look like? He said, for sure, the elephant must be a wall. The one who touched the task said, for sure, the elephant must be like a snake. And the one who touched the tail said, for real, and I can bet the elephant is like a rope. But finally, all of them were right to a certain extent. But the elephant is not a rope, it's not a tree, it's not a wall, it's not a snake, or it's not a what? A horn. Okay? So the same thing. Why I wanted to use this to contextualize climate change, aware of what we are here to do, is to try and seek solutions that will help rebuild the sugar sector in Kenya in a scenario where climate change is terrorizing the world. By the way, just to give you some statistics, that the world is losing 3.8 trillion to disaster related to climate change. Here in Kenya, you know what is going on right now, okay? We saw what happened in Mombasa. Imagine of the roads that have been swept away. Imagine of the Eldoret Express that was stuck on the road. All those are effects of climate change. And in one way or another, all of us are affected by that. So then, it is important that we understand these aspects and then know what exactly are we going to do going forward to change the situation. It is within our power. There is something that we can do. I always tell people when I go to conferences like this, there is always something that you can do to save the situation. But you are either doing it in the wrong direction or you are doing it in a pace that cannot help us achieve the targeted goals. By the way, I was reading a newspaper on Sunday, and when I was doing my analysis on the Sunday Climate Action magazine that is published by the Sunday Nation, we are off track of the 41 out of the 42 indicators of addressing climate change by 2030. That should worry us. That should worry us. But while it should worry us, it should give us the energy to try and resolve the challenges. So, if you look at the edge, there are some 3 statements there. This elephant is a system. A system, you can start the, as we are here, we are different systems. That is, our body is comprised of systems. Okay? And the properties of a system, the reason why I'm standing here is because I'm healthy. The reason why I'm speaking is because, I have the voice. So if I lost the voice, then it would be futile. If you have a challenge with one part of your body, you know what happens, is it? You can't sleep. It hurts. The same thing with climate change, that when one aspect is destabilized, it destabilizes the whole. So then, this symposium, what we should do as we move forward, going to different thematic areas, what I want to see is how does the conversation moves around such that you see yourself. You see yourself. You see yourself as part of the whole system. And for this system to effectively work, there should be a health harmony. When we talk about health harmony, is when your eyes are working well, your stomach is not paining, your legs are okay, your shoes are not pinching, and all of them, from the smallest part, must contribute to the health of the whole. So as we sit in this symposium with an aspiration of revitalizing the sugar sector in a climate change scenario, we must figure out what is it that we are going to do to, number one, increase our adaptability. Yesterday we were having a conversation with some of the colleagues who were sitting here, and I was telling them the emissions that we contribute, it's so minimal that our greatest worry as developing countries and economies should be how do we adapt to the situations that we have seen. How do we make our roads such that when the floods come, they're not swept away? How do we do our farming system in a way that when it floods, our sugar is not swept away? I mean, how are we going to do our farming of the sugarcane such that it also helps us to diversify and achieve my best subjects of food security? When I was growing up, you know, during those times, evangelists didn't have enough, so we used to struggle to get food. And I know how painful it is to lack food. So then, it is my obligation as a son of an evangelist to help people see a sense of why they should work on the sugar sector, because that helps to keep our food system strong to ensure that we have food security amidst the crisis of the climate. So all of us are elements within a system. I like the innovators are here. One of them is a colleague that I was with in a fellowship called the Africa Climate Africa Zero Carbon Impact. Yeah? We just cleared that. How are they going to use their knowledge, their skills, and innovations to plug in into the food system where the sugar sector is part of it, to address climate change, increase resilience and sustainability? That is a question that you, my fellow young people, are going to address within the effort. I think you need to. I'm not moving so fast. Yeah, I'll tell you. I have few slides, but I can talk for 5 hours using what we have because of the passion I have for this subject. So the self-organization, Mr. Jude Jesile was here, and when he was speaking of the challenges that we face in the sugar sector, you know, I was asking myself, how do we link? By the way, I've published a lot of articles, Mr. Jesile, where I point out that the biggest challenge that we have is the coordination of policies. Our policies don't speak to each other. I was asking, I posted something, I think 3-4 months ago. There is a bridge that was built along Rangata Road, and that bridge has gutters, but when it rains, the water that is collected flows to nowhere. Then I was asking, what if the construction of that bridge give a provision of an underground tank within that budget? We can have the water collected, and that water can be used in the next hospital, which is Nairobi West Hospital, to be used in the health service. So you see the water sector, the health sector, and the infrastructure, all of them need to speak together, see where they can complement each other, and use those resources in a way that is going to have a multiple benefit to the challenges that we have. And by the way, so the self-organization, as we are seated here, all of us have something, just like all of you mentioned what you see on the picture. All of us have something to do with climate change, using whatever that you have. So the thing is, as we sit here, as we interact, just see how am I going to take advantage of the next delegates with their ideas to revitalize the sugar sector within the situation that we are in. I want to get my yeah. So when I was doing my research, there's a book I'm reading. It is by this lady called Kate Raworth. It's a book she's written. It's a beautiful book called The Doughnut Economy. And I thought this is extremely important to explain why we need to get our hands on the climate change issue. As you can see, there are two circles. And the only opportunity we have to call this home, the world, the earth, the only opportunity we have to keep this home and, you know, to help us sustain ourselves and our lives for the life that we will be given, is to ensure that we keep within the boundaries. And the boundaries, in between, there is a hole. And that hole, if you sink there, is called the shortfall. That is where all the issues you see around there is water, there is food, there is health. If you go into that hole, just because of climate change, we are not going to enjoy all those aspects which are within the green circle, which is, by the way, the only hope that we have. And unfortunately, on the outer circle, research shows that we are almost breaching, because if we go beyond 1.5, then we are going to breach the boundaries, the ecological boundaries. The sailings will be broken, and when it will be broken, hell will break loose. We'll have more of the floods, we'll have more of the droughts, we'll have more of heat stress, and that's not going to make any sector any favorable for us. So this is another reason why we need to work hard and smart to ensure that we stay within the limits of the green boundary, and we have everything that it takes. Everybody who is here has a role to play, but you play that role within your space. But we need to have what we call health hierarchy. That we need to move from the nails, the air, and all those systems and subsystems must work. So in terms of a government system, the governance system, it means the county government must work in coordination with the national government to ensure that the policies that have been set out in the draft, there's a draft revitalization, sugar sector revitalization policy, for it to work, and Mr. Jesile, for the policies to work, all people, entities must have the health hierarchy. That we must respect that I'm an individual and there is so much I can do to change the system if you in the county government is not doing anything, or you who is an MCA is not doing something. So that health hierarchy must be seen to work in every area. Every aspect of our life must respect that hierarchy, which is conducive for development. So as a farmer, a sugarcane farmer, you have something that you can do to contribute to the system, because you are part of this element within a system, within a sugar sector system, that will contribute to the sustainable development of the sector. But while you are doing that, you're also best placed to address climate change. We talk about adaptation. We talk about mitigation. Even when we know we are not emitting too much, we still have to control our emissions. And this is within our power. I mean, the activities that we do, the simple activities we do. My friend Ogega is a climate modeling expert. You know, they are the people who give us the weather forecast and all the data. I know there are young people who are using data to help forecast climate change. But then that information must be able to help the farmer to know that, oh, we are going to have an extended drought, so we need to buy tanks to store water that we can use to irrigate when the drought is extended, so that we can have food as an adaptation mechanism. So how do we work? All of us. I mean, that's why I said, for me, the objective, if I was to stop now and be told, just leave, I'll say, if I left you and said, please go, think of what you can contribute, being cognizant of climate change and the impact and the activities that you can do to help resolve the challenges. Next slide. That's too much of the talking. So, as you can see, the process of revitalizing the sugar sector, in my opinion, go into those three aspects. Number one, and the reason why I thank the organizers of the symposium, is that this congregation is going to help us to identify the key stakeholders, just like Mokasi did with the survey, know their interests. And once you know their interests, then with the elephant in mind, see yourself within that system and how you are going to help resolve the challenges. Because if you don't, all of us are doomed. So we better do something. The second thing, you must understand the processes. I mean, if we don't understand the policy making processes and why public participation is important and why we need to get our voice in the issues that are there, then we're not going to make it. We can sing and praise and do everything, but if we don't understand the processes and know how to engage within those processes, it will be vanity. Our work will be zero. So it is important, I urge you, as we sit here, as you take part of that elephant, understand the processes and get engaged. I have a challenge when I see a document come to Parliament and then we don't have people, sending in their comments. Or we don't have people in the county level trying to say if there was a road that was supposed to be built. This is the critical one, because it is going to help us to get sugar from here to here. And then it is going to help us to get some shopping center somewhere where people can do business. When they harvest their groundnut, they take it to the market. So we need to understand the processes and engage in those processes. So as we leave this place, after 3 days you live here, please make sure you pick enough that will help you understand the processes that exist within the system to help us, all of us, address climate change. The institutions. We can't do without institutions. And we must respect them. We must not antagonize them. For the 10 years I worked with members of parliament, I respect the work they do. And I understand that you don't need to antagonize them because of the kind of pressure they go through. So when I was talking to my boss yesterday, I told him, Mheshimiwa, I'm going to Kisumu. I want to go and share some research on climate change and food system. He said, oh, okay, just go. But you need to figure out. You don't need to antagonize anyone. All of us, we don't need to fight. You don't need to fight the county government. You don't need to fight AFA. You don't need to fight the Association of Manufacturers. You don't need to fight the sugar millers. All of us need to understand our place and our role within an economy that is thriving. That's the only way we are going to survive. I will just scroll through the others because I think I've done justice to what I was. So, resilience, that's what brought me here. Resilience, what is it? This is something, because all of us, I see people who are knowledgeable, you must understand, or you must have come across the definition of resilience. But the three highlighted was there. Number one is to anticipate. Like now we know there is noise here, so we're having a lot of challenges. So we need to prepare for it. If we didn't prepare, we forget about what has passed. So after this symposium, we need to start preparing for. And then, after we prepare, then we need to know how to respond. Those are the three key words that I'll leave with. You need to anticipate, prepare, and respond. That's the only way we are going to be resilient within the climate change scenario. Next. Next slide. Okay. So what I thought, there are so many of them, but these three, I think, will be extremely important, because in my view, the three of them addresses multiple challenges, but we can use resources optimally to address them. All the reports I've read, the introduction of the irrigation system is key, because they say for the sugar sector, irrigation is going to help to reduce the maturity of the sugarcane from 15 to 18 months to 10 to 12 months. That's a lot. It's a long time that is being reduced. So that would help us improve our productivity and have more sugarcane farmers, we know there is soil health challenges, so we need to do what we call diversification of crops. And when I was doing the research, I realized that groundnuts, which are common in the western region, can be intercropped with the sugarcane. So that helps. You can intercrop with groundnuts and beans, and that could help soil regeneration. So that's one of the pathways. The last one is innovating the governance system, what I've just talked about. Rule number one, don't antagonize anyone. I remember the first book I read that really impacted me is How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dali Khan. You don't need to antagonize anyone. Just see what they can see. Wear their shoes and see what they can see. Once you do that, you can appreciate when they share their views. So when you share your thoughts about the elephant, I should be able to see what you mean from your point of view. And then if I have to say my point of view, is to try and nudge you to see my perspective also. And maybe when you see my perspective, and I believe after we have had this talk, your mind is transformed. You're going to think in a different way when you are dealing with the issues and working on your enterprise and trying to solve challenges within the community. So I will leave there. So just go to the last slide. I've explained all these other ones. This is something you can read. So yeah, my conclusion: climate change resilience is an imperative for a thriving economy. That is self-explanatory. Number two, a system approach must be the bedrock under which climate action is established. So as you live here, each of us has a role to play within the climate system. To build resilience, climate resilience in the sugar sector, take the activities and the actions of all of us. So don't count yourself out. Finally, we know that extreme temperatures and droughts and floods hazards are the major. So irrigation system will help address that. The last one, and I will mention this, public discourse on sugar sector revitalization should be meaningfully involve all the sector stakeholders. Please, let's build the agency of the people who are all the people, because the decisions that emanate from the people will be owned by the people, and even those who are in leadership and governance at the top level, at the higher hierarchy of the system, will have it easy when the people own the initiatives. So let us, as we live here, when we talk about engaging the public, who is the public? It is me and you. And my mother. My mother might not be able to express herself, but that's why I went to school. So I have no time, and I'm so grateful that you attentively listened to my presentation. And I'm hoping, as the book of Romans says, that be ye transformed by renewing your mind, that you may prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect within the climate scenario that we're facing. Thank you very much. God bless.
Bwana Shadrack asante sana. Beware of the shortfall. And this part caught me. As a farmer, you are a key element in the system in creating sustainability in the sugar industry. Asante sana.